All right, we are live on both YouTube and Instagram, same time. Pretty excited. First time going live here on YouTube. So let's see how it goes. Let's get right into it. So live Q&A. I do a poll every week throughout the days on some questions. I just ask users to fire in some questions and I'll just go through them, give my opinion. If you do have questions as we go along here, definitely put them in the chat and I'll get to them. So, all right, let's get right to it. So first question came in today. Stats are out. The Toronto real estate stats came out this morning. It says stats are out. What are your thoughts? Question mark. Well, I mean, I'm sure all the headlines to grab these. Pricing has dropped month over month. We're seeing a bit more, I think, a bit more of a summer sale than an absolute liquidation. So a little bit maybe different sentiment as what we're going to see in a lot of the newspaper articles. There's definitely opportunity for buyers that we haven't seen over the past, the start of the year for sure. We've seen it for the last month or two, but the start of the year was definitely a lot crazier for buyers. And now we're seeing a little more, just a slowing in the market where buyers have a chance to go out and actually look at properties and take their time in seeing various options and then making a move on a property that they like and kind of going from there. So I would say, yeah, it's a little bit more of a summer sale than an absolute liquidation. And then from a pricing standpoint, so I pulled the numbers for composite pricing. I use the downtown core, the CO1 core. That's where I do most of my business. But I figured I'd use just the composite to keep things pretty basic from across the board. So composite just kind of goes through all the numbers together. So it goes from everything from detached to condos, townhouses, all that stuff, everything in between. So pricing down 3.4% since last month, up 19% year over year. Now, keep in mind, the downtown core was probably affected, one of the most affected areas for all the shutdowns, that's for sure. Up 19% year over year. Condos and townhouses are still remaining somewhat strong from a pricing standpoint. They are still more affordable options in the downtown area. Not saying that they're cheap, but even though they're still expensive, they're still more affordable than houses in the downtown area. That's for sure. We also have to keep in mind that prices did drop about 10% in the core when everything shut down. Like the city was absolutely empty. There was 6 months of inventory, tons of properties on the market. Leasing was definitely down as well, something we'll get to in the next question. But overall, yeah, it took until about like this time last year to kind of get back to pre-shutdown levels. And then things have moved since then. Overall, the downtown core, pricing's down about 4% from last month and up 22% since June of last year. We're also not even close to the lowest point of the shutdown. We're up 33% since December 2020, it's a big number, but keep in mind, there was a 10% drop before that as well. Overall, I still like to go with condos at about 5%, 5 to 7% increase year over year. That's the Toronto average, about 6.8% across the board in the last 40 years. And that's without all the ups and downs as well. And we also, last thing I would say to keep in mind is that July and August are somewhat slower months in the real estate market compared to, the spring market and the fall market. Various factors. Probably the biggest one is that people are going on vacation. People are not exactly, maybe they're spending more time at the beach than going to open houses, things like that. So things to keep in mind for sure. I do think in this market right now, buyers and investors will probably find the most opportunities. The market is continuing to shift. And at the start of the year, it was so rapid on how quick properties were selling. And there really wasn't a ton of stuff on the market, even though there was a ton of transactions from a standpoint of being able to go around and explore and see various properties. That demand was so high at the start of the year. And I think that, sellers will also have to come to terms with the new price points as well. and the presentation of their property will be extremely important. Definitely moving forward, has been the whole time, but even more so now and moving forward. So yeah, lots of things going on in the market. I'm sure tons of numbers will continue to keep coming out. Things will come out in the media and all that stuff. If you have any questions, definitely throw comments, send a message. Love to hear your input. Let's get on to the next question. What are your recommendations for leasing right now? Okay. Yeah. So the leasing market, especially in the downtown core, is extremely hot. I would say like rents are, they're back to the pre-shutdown levels. And even, feels like we're passing that. We've seen multiple offers on rental properties. Like I'm talking some really nice properties are getting like 10 to 15 offers. It is absolute craziness out there. One bedroom condos are typically going right now for about 2,200 to 2,300 a month. I'd say that's pretty average. If you add parking to that, probably add another $200 a month on top of that. And two bedrooms are definitely around that, probably that $3,000 a month range, especially with parking. So a few things I would say to help navigate that. Number one, work with a realtor. I know people sometimes prefer to go directly to landlords, and landlords, vice versa, would sometimes rather go direct and not have to, the typical realtor fee on a lease is a 1 month's rent, and that's usually divided between the listing agent and the tenant agent. I would say when you do go through a realtor from a tenant side, we keep hearing horror stories that tenants are sending deposits and not getting properties, and that's very scary. That's not a great thing by any means. So when you go through a realtor, we're usually showing, or we're most likely showing properties that are listed on MLS. So they're usually listed with another realtor, and so there is there are regulations to that, and we have to abide by all the contracts and make sure everything's above board, make sure the deposit's held in trust by the brokerage. So it's very much a systematic approach to the whole process. Same thing on the landlord side. The realtors, it's their job to go through all the documents and everything and have a really well thought out approach on how to navigate and ideally help the landlords make the best decision for the tenant that will be living in their property. So yeah, working with the realtor, number one. Number two, and this is what something your realtor can help you with, is get the documents organized and have them in hand right away. So you're going to want to reach out to your realtor and ask and make sure that you have the proper documents in hand. So for example, you'll need a rental application filled out. They can send you that. They'll make sure that everything's filled out accordingly and that there's nothing missing. They're also going to want to make sure that you have the proper credit checks. So Equifax, TransUnion, and Borewell. Those are the three I would say. Things like Credit Karma are generally not accepted by realtors, landlords on the other side. And the reason is that sometimes they're inaccurate. So definitely go with the big ones there. Up-to-date employment letter. So this could take time to actually get in. So if your employer takes a week or so to send you the employment letter, make sure that you have it in hand. So when it comes time to make an offer, you have it ready. And pay stubs, if you are newly employed, you definitely want a contract of some sort. You have to show proof of employment, of course. And if you're self-employed, we do come into this situation often, especially now these days. There's a lot of creators, there's a lot of self-employed people. Just make sure you have proof of billables, proof of invoices, that kind of stuff. Show that you have proof of income. That's the biggest thing. And make sure it's all like properly documented in a, I like to say, like, I like to make a package for my clients. So to represent the tenants, I want to put together the package accurately. So when it comes time to presenting the offer to the landlord or to the, listing salesperson, then we want to make sure that the whole package is well put together, and it'll generally give you the best opportunity to lease the place that you like. Last thing I will say for all tenants out there, landlords, make sure you read the agreement, make sure you know exactly what's in there. Two things I've ran into lately, which Yeah, anyway, not too impressed about it, but I ran into two situations in the last 2 weeks where we put in the agreement that we wanted the place that the place should be properly cleaned, professionally cleaned before move-in, and on two occasions it did not happen, and it's really a shame. And I'll tell all my landlords. I always tell them right away. I'm like, hey, just so you know, mandatory. This place must get properly cleaned before move-in. And if I'm representing the tenants and the place is not clean before moving, it's just not a great feeling on any aspect. Everybody wants to move into a clean property, and at these prices, you expect the property to be clean on movement. So definitely, landlords, get your places cleaned and make sure tenants, you put that in the agreement. Moving on. All right. Will they increase rates July 13th? So yeah, Bank of Canada is meeting again on July 13th. All signs are pointing to a rate increase again. Um, the overnight lending rate, a lot of people are expecting a 0.75 increase once again. I actually am not sure if they'll go all the way up to that price point this time. I think I'm hoping we might see something in the zero point 0.5 or maybe even 0.25. We'll see. I mean, bond rates have gone down a little bit. The US is going to announce their inflation data that same day. Unemployment rates seem to be in a pretty good spot right now. Housing pricing has obviously chilled, as we spoke about. So hopefully they don't feel the need to go all the way up to 0.75. And I also think that there is a bit of a factor here where they are going to raise rates and talk about it. And hopefully, I think what's going to happen is people will naturally reduce their spending and stuff like that. So hopefully, um, inflation is coming to more of a control. I think we're still a whiles away from that, but let's see what they decide to do. I know a lot of purchasers, homeowners are watching that number very closely, and sellers should be too, because every time the rate goes up, people's buying power goes down. So definitely something to think about. It's 1 week away exactly from today. So if you're a seller and you're looking to get on the market, it might be best to get in the market like ASAP if your property is ready. If you're a buyer, maybe going shopping right away or locking in that rate with a mortgage broker might be of your best interest as well. So something to think about, something to keep an eye on. Last question: do you miss hockey? Oh, good question. So those of you that don't know, that are maybe following me for the first time or seeing this for the first time, I did play professional hockey for a good amount of years, 12, 13 years I played. So do I miss hockey? Yeah, I miss it. I mean, I miss some aspects of it. What I do miss is the vibe, the arena, playing in front of fans, playing at a high level, and just the energy that you have when you're playing is really cool. Things that I don't miss, I don't really miss the travel, riding the bus all hours of the night. Not the most fun thing to do. I also don't really miss packing up my entire house here in Toronto and then moving out to Europe. I mean, that being said, I did love living in Europe, and that was a pretty awesome experience. I love being there in August. I don't miss the short summer, so like basically May to the end of July, you're home, and then you're back over there. But August in Europe is pretty awesome. I will say that. But I mean, in a weird sense, I'm kind of missing the training aspect of it a little bit. I miss, being in, I mean, I guess the best shape I've ever been in. I miss being, all in on taking care of myself from a training perspective, eating perspective. Sometimes as a realtor, you're eating in the car between showings or whatever. You got Cliff Bars or whatever, just kind of getting you through. I miss having a very well structured plan for that. And kind of all that aspect, or even just being on the ice with some pretty good players in the summertime and stuff, and getting shot on and kind of seeing where you're at from a level standpoint was always cool. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll always miss it. It was part of my life for 34 years. But now, as a realtor, I mean, it's a little bit different. I love watching hockey, but it's not quite the same feeling when you're walking out of the rink in front of thousands of fans. It's a really fun, cool aspect. So that's it. First live stream on YouTube. Thanks for having me. Instagram, See you guys later as well. Have an awesome day, awesome Wednesday. It looks pretty nice out here in Toronto. Go enjoy your day, and we'll do this every single week. So Wednesday, 10 a.m. I think that's what I'm going to roll with for now. Let's see how it goes. Have an awesome day.